So we'll be jumping into the first startup masterclass. After social selling, we'll have a masterclass on go-to-market, and then finish the day with a masterclass on pitching. So over to you, Michelle, how you want to drive it. But before I leave it open to you, I would say, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience? We'd like to know who you are and what are you doing for in this space.
Awesome. So first of all, it's so awesome to be here. I'm so delighted. I've been, walking around all day and been like on, I'm so excited to do this. I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm here in Gothenburg, Sweden. So I'm on the right side of Sweden. There's always this back and forth. I just had to do it. Anyways, so my name is Michel Laporte Godorn. I am the founder and CEO of VIMENTIS. And today I run the largest live streamed sales development program for entrepreneurs and startups in Sweden. So it's really nice to be here. I've been working with Nigel for many times now. So another adventure ahead. And hopefully today I can provide real value for everyone who's here. How are you doing, by the way?
Yes, so founders out there, please write how you're feeling. Let's fill up the chat. Getting tired, okay, but good. Okay, good that you added, but good after that. After 4 dots, I was very confused. But I see, great, we're doing wonderful. Jens, great. Okay. So
awesome,
Ivan,
guys. I love it.
Ivan is a good friend. He has recently moved to Gothenburg. So Michelle, you need to connect with
Ivan,
him.
I saw your message this morning. We'll talk some more. So yeah, it's been a couple of people here. But anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this day and that you have learned so much. I've been in and out just to see what you guys were up to. And hopefully for the coming 20 minutes, you guys will get a couple of pointers and tools so you can jumpstart your social selling process. Now, first of all, I'm just going to give you a hint. There's not going to be any PowerPoint now for the coming 20 minutes. I guess you guys have seen a lot of PowerPoints today. So I told Nymol, let's go old school. Let's go with energy and intention instead. Okay. So anyway, guys, let's get started. So, and make sure you have something to write on. Make sure you have something to write on. Remember, you will remember 10% of this session and you will remember 90% of the feeling. So let's make it 30, 50, 40, 50% at least that you bring with you after this. And for everyone, connect with me on LinkedIn and there we can talk some more, but I want to focus all my energy on you guys now. So my background is from the beginning. I always call myself a street entrepreneur because I was never through the universities. After school, I was done with school and I started my first company when I was 18. So VIMENTIS is my 7th company today. I was born in the Seychelles, which is a beautiful island in the Indian Ocean, and came here as a child. So I grew up with watching my hardworking parents also building companies. So my father is an entrepreneur and they taught me the value of hard work. Basically that perhaps led me to the second passion in my life, except business, which is karate. So I've been a student of full contact karate for 30 years. And I brought this little piece here just to start out with a quick story. Because there's so many, this is a black belt if people can't see it. So this is a black belt, martial art black belt. Now, did you guys know that out of 1,000 students in karate, there's approximately 2-3 of them that will end up with a black belt? Now, when we start, but when we talk about sports in general, we know in order for us to become an expert, it takes hard work, it takes practice, it takes dedication and discipline. And it takes patience in order for us to see that to grow, and eventually we will end up with a black belt. In sports and of course in karate, we know that, we accept that. Now, have you guys thought about when you start a business? We expect to get this in every single field within a couple of days. Isn't that ironic? You see, I have met so many entrepreneurs the past couple of years. I'm not talking about hundreds, I'm talking about thousands. And one of the things that is so obvious is that whenever you start your own business, whenever you get your registration done, immediately you would wake up and I'm a black belt, which is absolutely crazy. If somebody walks up to me, as I thought I saw somebody here write that there are some dojos that gives out a fast track to a black belt. Trust me, it's if somebody would offer you a quick fast track to a black belt, then it's not true. Because there is some things along the way that you need to learn. There is some experiences that you need to experience in order for you to understand what this is. And once you're here, you realize the sad truth. This is not an expert level. Being a white belt means that you are a beginner amongst the beginners. Being a black belt means that you're a beginner amongst the pros. Because there's levels to this. So we need a growth mindset. We need to understand that this is everything that we talk about now. It's a process. So I'm not here to share 5 tips in order for you to create super revenue on social side. That is just, sorry my language, but that's just bullshit, okay? It's not true. So let's put this aside and let's get going. Now, my goal today is to start the process, okay? My goal today is to start the process. What I want to do here is we're going to walk through why social selling is so crucial for everyone to jump on board today. This is not exclusively for this company or that company. It's not exclusive for anyone. You're either in or you're out. If you're not engaging in social selling, you have basically chosen not to be part of the market at a certain point. That's just facts. So we need to look into why is this necessary, okay? Just quick. I'm also going to share some pointers of what to avoid when it comes to social selling, because there is some confusions about this. And I know that there are some companies, you have also big companies, of course. But what I have seen is that there is, how to say, there's more. I would wish they would do more in their social selling processes. So we're going to get back to that. And then once we are done with what to avoid, we're going to look into how to get started. Okay. So the goal is to get started today. So hopefully you guys will get some things. Now, if there is anything that you guys missing from this presentation, then please contact me and we can talk more specifically about your case. Don't be shy, connect with me on LinkedIn and we'll have a one-to-one. Don't worry about it. It's all, and of course, no charge. Okay. So hope you have something to write on. I'm gonna catch my breath here. All right. So why social selling? Well, first of all, we need to accept the fact that the thin line between marketing and sales is just getting closer and closer. The border, like 20 years ago, the border they were very far away from each other. But what we can see now is that social selling, with the current situation in the market where we have social media, we have different platforms, we have so much communication going on out there. we need to have a strategy. We need to understand how to move in all these different areas. So I'm going to share a couple of pictures. Give me one sec. I said no PowerPoints, and I'm just going to share a couple of pictures for you guys. So don't worry, I'm going to stick to my promise. Just a few of them. Now, boom. So I hope you can see this. Naimo, can you see it?
Visible.
Cool, awesome. Now, I wanted to see what Wikipedia was saying about social selling. Social selling is the process of developing relationships as part of the sales process. I like it. It's quite accurate, actually, of course. So I would agree with this. But then you look into this sentence and you see developing relationships as part of the sales process. Now, this is where we are reminded that we can't just rush things today, because you can't just build relationships instantly. Maybe you found your the love of your life on social media platforms. Good, I'm happy for you. But you know, guys, what I mean. Building relationships takes time, because behind that word we have trust. We have perhaps proof of concept. We have all these things that is required in order for us to build relationships and trust. So we need to have a deeper understanding on how to actually build these relationships then. We're going to get back to that. So what I'm trying to always encourage is that every entrepreneur out there, every company out there needs to study both fields today. Because I know what happens when I walk into the room and I said, hey guys, let's talk about sales for entrepreneurs. They go like, what's for dinner tonight? I know that's the black sheep of the family, because I rather go marketing, economy, whatever. I even perhaps like to do some Excel work before I start to contact clients. But we need to be comfortable in both, because that's how we create great social selling strategies. And we're going to get back to that. Now, this is something that I wanted to share. And this is a couple of years ago now, but there is so many studies that shows that how important social selling is and what impact it has on sales, in the sales process. But I'm going to add couple of things more on this as well. But it's interesting. Back in 2016, with the pace that everything is going, imagine the numbers today. After the pandemic, imagine the numbers today. So why is it so important? Now, when we start out with a social selling strategy, we need to understand that, first of all, it's all about the branding and it's all about the revenue. But it's also about to help you guys understand more and more your market's buying behaviors. Because in order for us to succeed with a social selling strategy, it means that I always have to stick my ears to the ground and try to see what are they, how are they moving now? I mean, imagine somebody would say 4 years ago that there's a high probability that you should be on TikTok one of these days. I remember my own thoughts about TikTok a couple of years ago. I was like, no way, I'm not going to dance. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna use TikTok, but it's a part of the development. So we need to be part of the we need to be part of the development out there. That's why we need the social selling strategy. So in order for us to be relevant, we need to stay alert and see what happens. It also sharpens the sales processes, and of course, it helps to create natural growth. Now, when we start the social selling processes, what we need to avoid them. The first thing people ask me, entrepreneurs ask me, is what should I share? Okay, because social selling is not posting randomly on social media. Social selling is not having a Facebook account and randomly ask your marketing team to post something. So one of the things that you can write down that you should not, that you should at least think about is to start with your journey instead. Okay? Start with your journey instead. Because a lot of people, they hesitate to start with a social selling strategy just because they are a bit unsure of what to say or what to share. But I would say if you're not sure where to start, go back and think about your story. How did everything start? Okay. Also ask yourself, why is this important? This is something that we need to ask ourselves, because when I see a lot of posts in social media, we try to inform. But I want to share with you something that you can just bring with you along the journey. When you have a social selling strategy, we all have different segments on the market. We all have this core group that, for me, for an example, when I start to engage with the market on social selling, with a social selling strategy, I immediately have to think about who is the receiver on the other side. Now, if I talk to salespeople, which was in the beginning the goal for me at least, they have a certain language, they have a certain way of things, and they are interested in certain things when it comes to business in general. Now, when I started to want to reach to small business owners, startups, entrepreneurs, and so on, I kind of saw the conflict out there. And this is something that I want you guys to think about, because we all have these segments out there where perhaps if you have I work with medtech startups, I work with fintech startups, etc. And they have a very specific target group. But maybe that's not the whole market that they want to talk to, etc. So what happens is that in this case, if I wanted to talk to the salespeople, well, that was naturally, that was easy. But the problem was that when I started, if I would use this language to this group, meaning startup entrepreneurs or so, that in general hates selling, then my social selling strategy would not be so effective, of course. So what I needed to do is I needed to study what's over here and what's over here. Now, one of these questions that I always ask entrepreneurs, do you really understand the buying behaviors of your market? Why do they buy whatever you have to offer? Why do they buy whatever you have to offer? And I want you guys to answer this question without going through your product or service, because usually that's where you will find the answers. This is not a one-size-fits-all journey. We need to really study our markets. Because if you want to sell to your market, you need to have a marketing strategy that really captures their interests. Of course, I mean, it's logic. But if we don't understand, and so what I had to do is that I had to study these groups even more, because I knew that these groups, they needed to focus more on sales and marketing, especially sales. I mean, just look at the statistics. It's easy to start a company, but how many is left? How many is still there 24 months later? I know the statistics. And so there is a gap, there is a problem here. Now, so what I needed to do, so I started to see one of the things that became a huge game changer for me was that I started to see that they talked a lot about, not so much as they should, but one thing that was quite obvious in these groups was economical stress, for an example. Now, I don't, probably there is some seasoned entrepreneur here as well, and you guys know what I talk about. Because at some point, we will all face, as entrepreneurs, you know, how shall I pay my bills next month? And when I started to see that that opening, I started to dig even more deeper into this topic. And I found, after a lot of research, I found quite interesting facts out there. And I saw that this is not a small problem. This is a huge problem. The vast majority of every new business in Sweden will experience economical stress. Now, that's how I turned sales into logic at the end. Because the gap that I needed to, in order for me to have a successful social selling, this is what I'm trying to say, guys. In order for me to have a social selling strategy, to talk to them, to open up a much larger market share in my marketing, I needed to find the language that was needed, the reasons, the whys, to get their attention. And because again, if I walked in and said, "Hi, startup entrepreneur, what do you think about sales?" They go like, "Not for me." But when we turned economic into logic and could connect why sales would help them sleep better at night if they just learned a couple of skills, now things became more interesting. So when I started out the social selling process, I understood that I couldn't use this language anymore. So I started to understand more and more what is important here, what is important here. And all of a sudden, my service became part of my client's ecosystem instead of something just, you know, I just have to do it, but I don't want to do it. And this is something that I see in so many different areas. I'm just giving you an example from my own journey. But this is something that I've watched and seen in so many different companies out there. But this is now back to the black belt story. This is the part that takes time. This is the part that is sometimes a bit boring. And patience will be your number one virtue, basically. Because this didn't, of course, it didn't happen overnight. Now, when you guys know, maybe hopefully somebody will take a step back and say, okay, so what am I missing here? Because if logic, guys, if logic was the key in a successful social selling process, everyone would succeed. But what I found in my research was that the emotions that, for an example, economical stress triggered, and I started to talk to them from that perspective, now things became interesting. Things became relevant. So when you start your, first of all, when you start your social selling process, you need to study all these things that we talked about. Why do they buy? Why do they need this? Etc. But we also need to, but what we can do is that we can bring our market along the journey. So don't be afraid to start, just start. That is part of the message today. And we engage and we avoid to inform too much. Now, a couple of other things that I want to share, just to quick.
Michel, I'm just barging in here as the bad person. We have 3 minutes or so until the next masterclass.
Okay.
I know your sessions are very deep, very interesting, but we will need to move to the next one.
I'll run through the last stuff here. So guys, try not to do a one-size-fits-all process. Try to be specific when you go out there and be a thought leader on the market. That is part of the process as well. And try to avoid corporate lingo. Nobody likes the hi, I am the do. Try to engage with, dare to be personal. That's what I wanted to say. And 3 things that you can bring with you when you start to work on your social selling strategy. Whenever you post something, make sure you do one of these 3 things. Educate, challenge, or entertain your market. Okay? Educate, challenge, or entertain your market. If you do one of these 3 things, you're probably on a good way to start to work on a social selling strategy. Lastly, I want to say, when you start working with your social selling strategy, think about it as, sorry, Naimo, I need 1 more minute. Think about it as you go out there and you challenge, you educate, and you entertain your market. You make them see you, feel you, understand you. You're interesting. You're interesting. And then, as you have studied your market, you will understand why they would buy from you, and then you can start to work with your social selling strategy for real. Now, this is a broad topic, as I was saying, if anyone wants to sit down on a one-to-one and just figure out what can you do with your own journey, then hook me up on LinkedIn and we'll dive in together and we will create revenue together. Don't worry about that.
Brilliant. Thank you, Michel. Just to be open to the audience, you're running an event on Friday in Gothenburg. So if you would like to share that link, because if some of you are in Gothenburg, you can definitely go. And was it the Stories of Gothenburg, the event that you're running?
Exactly. Okay. So guys, we are running a business event here in the heart of Gothenburg at the Grand Theater, Stora Teatern. It's called Stories of Gothenburg. It is for entrepreneurs and anyone basically that loves business. We have speakers, we will network. There's a packed day with so much events, and there's approximately 50 tickets left. So if anyone wants to go, this is my gift to anyone who's in the Gothenburg area. Connect with me and I'll give you a ticket for free.
Brilliant. Perfect. Michel, thank you so much for a very interesting session. I love the black belt analogy, and so that was a great hook. Got my attention. Thank you so much, and we are very thankful you could join us.